Good evening, fans. This is Jamie from Blood, Sweat and Metal. Got another interview that I did a couple of nights ago, but I had to reschedule it for early this evening. It's from GirlSchool. I'm speaking to Enid. My old recording software just crashed itself. It didn't play back as properly as it did. Even though we spoke to Enid for over 50 minutes, that basically didn't come through the recording sessions when I played it back. So I rescheduled it early this evening. We got a 20 minutes one this time. So basically what I've done is we've tried to remember everything that I asked and the previous interview into this interview. And also we did speak a little bit about Motorhead and how they were inspired and how it all eventuated. Apparently, when GirlSchool started, Motorhead producer got them a record label deal. So you're going to hear that in the interview as well. Well, before we go into the interview, I want to say, if you got your Megadeth album, Dystopia, please crank it up. I've been hearing it all day this afternoon. It sounds pretty awesome. Different, but it's awesome. So if you want to leave a review, please do so on our page on Blood, Sweat and Metal on Facebook. If you want to follow us on Twitter, please also do that as well. Blood, Sweat and Metal's on Twitter and YouTube, Podomatic, whatever. And please get your friends to join us as well. So if you like metal, you like what we do, please give us a bit of a shout out to your friends, get them on board, get them to discover us. As you know, I've been doing this with David back almost 2 years ago. David's been busy with his work commitments, so I just continue on my own. I'll get David when I can, and he can jump in. And you'll see many interviews on the YouTube like this, and also you'll hear a full episode with new material, music news, concert tours, the whole 9 yards on the Podomatic, TuneIn and iTunes channel. So stick with us and it's going to be absolutely awesome. So with the start of the year, we have Megadeth's album released today in Australia and worldwide. On the 29th, there's going to be some more great albums that are going to be released. You've got Avantasia going to be released. Around the corner from that, you've got Anthrax, Four Kings going to be released. From that on in, I'm hearing that Dream Theater going to be releasing an album very shortly. Testament going to be releasing an album this year. There's going to be so many great albums to look forward to. So, question to you guys is, what albums from your band that are you willing to share with us that you're waiting for? So, if you've got an album that a band is making or going to be releasing in 2016, let us know what they are, and we'll go on and post it up on our page so we can get other fans to give their opinion and their intake of what to come. So with the whole thing of 2016, also not just with the album, but what tours you're looking forward to in Australia. There's so many great tours. I saw Nightwish last couple of weeks ago. I've got Soul Work coming up. I've got Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, Elvati, Seven Dust. Bring me, so many. Just keep bringing me more and more tours. So, if you got a band that you want to see come to Australia, or there are an Australian band you want to see them come around on the national tour, let us know. The more the merrier. Well, I'll go back to the interview. I spoke to Enid again, and we spoke about the latest album, Guilty as Sin, which was released last year. please go and grab this album. This is just a great album from top to bottom. They also do have a cover song called Staying Alive from the Bee Gees. It doesn't sound like the Bee Gees. They rocked this song up, and it really spun me out and really gave me a good vibe about this cover. We spoke a little bit more about some of the songs on the album, the stories behind the song and the processing of it all, and also how a certain member named Kelly, who passed away in 2007, how the band continue on their legacy to now. Because, as you know, we had Phil and Lemmy from Motorhead passed away. We had David Bowie passed away. We had just recently Glenn Frey from the Eagles passed away. There's so many. And the drummer from Mott the Hoople just passed away. A lot of talented musicians in the music world have passed away. So it was right to ask Enid how to continue on with the band and all that. And also, towards the end of it, asked her what advice to the females, or even men in general, but mainly to the females, if they want to start in a rock band, what advice she recommends them to take. So we've got about a 20-minute interview. Sit back, relax. Once again, join us on Facebook, like us, give us a thumb up, spread the name around to your friends and family and what have you. Like us and follow us on Twitter. Follow us. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel, as you can see. Also subscribe to our iTunes, Podomatic, and TuneIn, where you get all the full episodes straight to you when you sign up. As soon as it gets posted up, as soon as it gets uploaded, you'll get it straight away, and you'll be notified immediately when a new episode is put up. Well, I'm going to try and cool down. It's been one of those days where we had rain, thunderstorms, lightning, and back to a muggy heat here in Adelaide. It's summer. I love it. I cannot wait for more things to come. So, without further ado, here's the interview I had earlier tonight with Enid from GirlSchool. Take care. Well, guys, this is Jamie from Blood, Sweat and Metal. I'm doing a second take of the interview I did 2 nights ago. Unfortunately, the recording didn't work out, so I polished it all up with a brand new recording system, and I'm speaking to Enid from GirlSchool. Good evening again.
Good evening or good morning at this end of the world.
Yeah. Sorry about this, and we are going to keep it short this time because I know that you have got other commitments to do, but we're going to try and fit everything in as much as I can remember. But you have got a brand new album that came out last year, and what an outstanding album it is. And I am so thrilled to talk to you because you girls are probably the longest surviving all-female band to stay together. And there have been other girl bands like Runaway and the Go-Go's and so forth, and Vixen as well. But you girls started out in the 70s, you went right through the 80s, you had a bit of a lineup change and whatnot, but now you're back, you rejuvenate yourself, you recharge your batteries, you brought out a new album. You guys must be thrilled.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the compliments. We are. We're absolutely thrilled with the album.
I want to ask, going back to the beginning of the career, was it a bit more of a punt for the record label to go for a female, all-female band? Because not many were around at that stage back in the 70s. But when you look at the Runaways, they were more manufactured. But when you look at you girls, you were more into it. You're more in-depth. You're rockers. You just wanted to go out and perform. Do you think now there's not many girl bands around, you girls have stand the test of time?
Yeah, well, I suppose it is quite unusual. There have been a lot of female bands, but they tend not to last as long. Maybe it's like just one member even having kids, that tends to make it more difficult going on tour. Men that want to stay at home and look after the kids whilst the woman's touring. I think maybe that's one of the factors involved. But there were actually, in the mid-70s, there were no female bands around at all. And Kim and I started playing together in 75. And we went through various lineups until it became GirlSchool in 78, when we finally got Denise on board and changed the name and began to tour. But we were gigging in 75 and there was nobody around at all. Although a couple of months after we started, the Runaways came out. And although Joan Jett and Lita Ford in particular have turned out to be quite, very talented, in fact, at the time, the way they were promoted, it was very, very sexist and it was the Svengali, whereas we very much came out and did it ourselves. And although we got involved with Motorhead later, when we began, we met a guy who had an independent record label, and then in 78 we recorded a single. It went on the radio in Britain, and Lemmy's manager picked up on it, and that's when we started to tour with them. But there are very, very few bands that actually continue to. I don't think hardly any female bands have made more than 2 albums. So 13's quite an achievement.
Well, I wouldn't call the Spice Girls a female band. They're a dance pop band, and they were manufactured, but they don't exist anymore. But going back to GirlSchool, you girls were very close to Lemmy, and I know for a fact back in 1981, you performed a song together live on TV, which was probably one of the biggest songs that Motorhead had, plus GirlSchool had, and that was absolutely fantastic. But I just want to go real quick here. How important Lemmy was to you girls at the start of your career and going on through the decades to come?
Well, of course, like I say, it's very important because when we toured with Motorhead in 79 for the very first time, I think that the sound of Motorhead, particularly Filthy Phil's double bass drums, were a big influence on our music. And certainly we turned the volume up after that. And we toured with Motorhead on and off many times over the years. But we had started way before. Like I said, we had a single out already. So we had started way before, and we would have been around if Motorhead were there or not. But we loved the band, and we came from the same era, from the new wave of British heavy metal. And so we were friends right to the end. And of course, we were on tour with Motorhead and Saxon for several weeks. And then there was a break in the middle of the tour over Christmas. And that's when Lemmy died. So technically, we should have gone out on the road again yesterday around Europe.
Yeah. It was very tragic. I mean, Phil passed away not long before Lemmy did, and now Lemmy's passed on and David Bowie has passed on. But GirlSchool had their own death in their family too. Kelly passed away in 2007 due to cancer as well. But I want to ask, before we get into Guilty as Sin, the new album, how important was for GirlSchool to continue on after having such a tragedy like Kelly passing away?
Well, it was... Kelly had been in the band. She rejoined the band in the 90s, and then she left in 99. And, she finished with the bass player, and then she left herself. And so Kim and Denise had decided to carry on, and that was when I rejoined and Jackie joined, although we did our first gig again in 2000. Kelly passed in 2007, so she hadn't been in the band for 8 years at that point. So from a practical point of view, it really didn't affect things. But from a much deeper point of view, the others were very close friends with her. And she was clearly a huge part of the band in the beginning, one of the main songwriters. And we play a lot of those songs on stage still. So it was very... it was very, very, very sad, and that's very young to die, really. Yeah. So I think it gave a sense of it makes everything seem a lot deeper and a lot more urgent. Whenever you're faced with death, it's a reminder of your own mortality, and you want to play music, and that's how you express your feelings there. So, yeah, it was, and it was an influence, of course, on the Legacy album, because that was around the time she died, and that influenced some of the songs that a couple of the others wrote.
Well, Guilty as Sin was released last year. Got outstanding songs on it from top to bottom, like Come On the Revolution, Guilty as Sin, the title track, Staying Alive, which is a Bee Gees cover. I was not prepared for this, and I know there's a little bit of a story behind that, and I'll get to that in a minute. But also, there's some bonus tracks on this album as well that was probably B-side from previous album, but now have been released on Guilty as Sin. I just want to ask, how was all that for you? Like, that's a Kelly song that she co-wrote with you guys as well for one of the older albums, previous album, but now it officially on this one as well.
Yeah, well, it was a B-side in 1981, I think, and a lot of people seemed to like it. So we started to play it in our live set on and off, and so it just seemed natural to record it again because of it not being on any of the albums. Then Coming Your Way was a song, I think it was the first song that Jackie and I wrote when we came into the band in 2000, and that was an album that was, a lot of Kelly songs were on that album that she'd written in the previous years, and it was it wasn't one of our more important albums, I suppose, and yet that particular track was very popular. It was another one that we played live, and it just seemed to fit with the kind of songs we were doing now, and we like our anthemic songs. Yeah. So yeah, we thought we'd include them.
So what's the story behind Staying Alive? When that was thrown around the group, everyone was a bit riddled by it not sounding as a rock song. It was more of a disco song. But you, on the other hand, you're quite up for the challenge. You want to talk to the listeners and the fans down in Australia, the story behind doing that cover from the classic Bee Gees.
Yeah, absolutely. We, as you probably know, we tend to do a cover on every single album. It's just become a tradition. And it started with Race with the Devil, which is one of our most popular songs on the Demolition album. And pretty much pretty much every album since has had a cover on. And when you do a rock cover, you tend to pick a song that you really love. And then how can you improve it? How can you make something better than something you already love? Whereas if you choose a song that's from a different genre, there's a lot more chance to be creative with it and make it your own. And it really, our manager suggested that particular one, and half the band said, "Nah, you're nuts," and the other half, which included me, said, "Oh no, it's a great idea, it's great." So we started to play around with it, and really the key to it is the riff, because it's a great guitar riff, and then the rest of the song falls into place. And because I knew I was going to sing it, that was my biggest concern of how can I make this relevant to me, because you've got this image of John Travolta walking down a street with a paint pot and then going out clubbing on Saturday night to give his life meaning. And I thought, well, I'm not male, I'm not in my 20s, I'm not a New Yorker, this has no meaning at all. But the whole principle of staying alive became very much, we're in our 50s, we've been doing this for near nigh 40 years. Kelly died, Lemmy's just died, of course, hadn't when we did the track. But the whole sense of being passionate about music and against all the odds, still being here and getting older, and the principle that you never know what's around the corner. So staying alive, it's a song about survival. And so this guy in New York with his crap job, he was surviving through having the weekend to look forward to. It's a song about survival, and that was something we could identify with on a completely different level. So the spirit of the song, it actually became really quite meaningful, quite profound in a way, even though it might seem like a lightweight pop song. It's actually about, survival in one word. Yeah,
another great song, and we had a talk about this song previously on the one that got screwed up with the recording. It was a song called Everybody Loves Saturday Night. And now I did not know anything about behind the scene type of thing. There's a story about it, and it was about a country that I think it's in Africa somewhere where they had a curfew. And
that's right.
I want to ask, you can continue on because I'm trying to remember exactly what you were saying, but that was a story I never really knew about, and I'm going, wow, is that true? And you said, yeah. So if you want to just briefly just go over that Everybody Loves Saturday Night song and the reason behind that single.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, well, when we do our writing, Jackie, Kim and myself are the main writers. And we love to throw stuff in, and everyone wants to put their song forward. What tends to happen is Kim and Jackie do some co-writing, and me and Jackie do some co-writing, and then I write some songs by myself, and then we fight about whose song's going to get on where. So that was one of my songs, but the chorus came from Nigeria. And the reason it came about, it's a song that I used to do, or that little chorus, those few lines, is something I used to sing with these preschool children. It's a great hooky little chorus. And I was writing quite a lot of lyrics and melodies for this album. And if you listen to the songs, there's a wide range of styles within the rock and metal genre on the album, and there's a wide range of lyrics. So there's love, sex, partying, but there's also politics, climate change, you name it, it's there. And I was very much into writing songs that had a lot of meaning for myself. And I was thinking about politics and about the way the world is going at the moment. And Come the Revolution, for example, is the lyrics are quite deep there. With this song, I wanted to talk about something political, but in a way that wasn't just dour and boring and negative and so forth. And when we had punk in Britain in the late 70s, it was all about smash things up and, anger with the Queen, and, it was rebellion and negativity and destroy everything. Whereas in Africa, when they want to rebel, they go and have a party. And I thought that was quite funny, a completely different way of showing resistance. So in the 50s, the British colonialists would put a curfew out in Nigeria so people weren't allowed to leave their houses after dark. And on Saturday night, people would defy the curfew en masse, go onto the streets and have a party. And I thought, what a great way to defy authority and to rebel in a positive way. And so the verse, which I wrote, is very, very dark, that sense of military and curfews. And then the chorus is, but sod you, we're going to have a party. So it's a kind of a way of dealing with a quite serious subject, but making it inspiring in some way, defiance and rebellion against those things that you can't tolerate or you don't believe in, or where people abuse authority over you, whether it's governments or in any other situation. Yeah. So that really is the gist of the song. So you can dance to it, you can sing along to it, but there's something much, much deeper going on there.
And I was just flattened by that story a couple of nights ago, and we just rehearsed it, rephrased it again. It's absolutely unbelievable, and I thank you so much for sharing that story as well. But I know we only got about 4 minutes left. I want to ask a question. If there's any female out there that wants to start in a female rock band, what best advice would you give them today, due to the way that the music business is now compared to what it totally changed where you girls came from? But if there was any females out there that want to be in a rock band nowadays, what's the best advice for you give them?
Well, in terms of the business, it's changed so radically about how you go about being a musician and how you can make it work. But that's true for both boys and girls across the board. There are far more female role models than there used to be, and one tends to get a lot of attention still as a female musician in the beginning. But then it's much harder to sustain it. It's still treated a little bit as a novelty. So I think really to navigate this world, the most important thing is really to believe in yourself and trust yourself. And sorry, I'm going off into philosophy now. There's a guy called Joseph Campbell, this American guy who died a few years back, and he was an anthropologist, and he had a phrase called "follow your bliss." So I think that's a good way of doing it. Whatever you believe in, do it, and don't listen to listen to people's advice, sure, and take it on board if it works for you. But you have to believe in yourself. Don't let anyone put you down. Generally speaking, musicians, audiences, if you're any good, if you can do the music, then generally you'll be accepted. There's still a lot of misogyny in the business. Female bands get paid much, much less. It's much harder to get onto a festival. We had in Scandinavia, a festival turned around once and said, no, we don't want to book GirlSchool. We've already got our female band. They're booking about 70 bands. And it's like, we've got the token female band, which were Vixen, who went platinum with their first album, versus us with our X number of, as the, we've got the novelty band. You're still going to face all that rubbish. But ultimately, if you're a decent musician and you love music, you will generally be accepted, and don't let anyone say otherwise. If it's what you want to do, listen to your heart, your soul, your whatever you want to call it, and follow your bliss, as Campbell said.
Well, I want to say thank you for joining us once again. It's all the time. I want to let you do your other commitments as well, but thank you so much for allowing me to do it again.
Thank you.
And it has worked this time. I've been looking at the recording and it has worked. And I will post this up to you guys very shortly as well. But thank you so much. For the fans out there who haven't got GirlSchool, please go and get the new album, get all the back catalogue. Also go on their website as well, the official girlschool.com. Go and get
girlschoolband.com.
Yeah, right. I'm sweating like a pig.
There's a few out there with the word official on it, but that's the official. Yeah,
I'm sweating like a pig here because it's so hot and humid here in Australia right now. It's not funny, but I'm surviving. Like staying alive.
It's freezing here. I've got the heating on.
Yeah. All right. I better let you go, and thank you so much once again, and I look forward to seeing you girls very shortly if you do come to Australia, or hearing you girls again in the near future.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.